studio by Kate Fitzpatrick of Democrats Abroad and Julie Sheridan of the Irish Association of American Studies. Thank you very much, Julie, for joining us on this historic night. It's finally here. Can I start with you, Julie? Trump, he started out as a bit of a comedic candidate, a bit of a joke, but here we are, and he could possibly do it. He tapped into the zeitgeist, didn't he?
Exactly, he did. I think the thing about Trump is that he's really been able to pinpoint the divisive issues in America at the moment, whether that's to do with tensions over race, or even just the flight of manufacturing and blue-collar jobs overseas. And these are issues that Republicans hadn't really been looking at, traditional Republicans, establishment Republicans. And he's really been able to make gains through focusing on these issues and zoning in on them. And I think he's also been underestimated by the Republican Party. I think early on in the primaries, you saw maybe a calculation by people like Marco Rubio, by Ted Cruz, and that to go after Trump, to go after him hard would perhaps alienate the voters. They thought that maybe he would crash and burn by himself, and they could pick up the support then after that. But it didn't work out like that.
Kate Fitzpatrick, Julie has pointed out some of the reasons why he really shouldn't be. So why is this not a walkover for Hillary Clinton? It's going tough.
Well, what he's really managed to do is he's managed to tap into a lot of the anger that exists in the U.S. There's a lot of anger that exists around the issue of immigration. He himself has coupled that with a lot of racism, and he's really brought in sort of a racist view into the mainstream, which is incredibly disturbing, with his comments about Mexicans, his comments about immigrants. So he's sort of tapped into a lot of this anger, and he's provided a scapegoat for it, and that's why he's held on.
But it's also, he's opened up this Pandora's box. These people now have a voice. Will Hillary Clinton be able to speak for them?
Well, I think that's the big question. I think in terms of moving forward, if we assume all the poll aggregators look good for her today, if we assume that she's gonna win, is he gonna concede tonight? Is he gonna make that normal call to her to concede so that she can move forward and make her victory speech? If he does, are his people going to defer to her? Or will there be riots? Will there be demonstrations? Will she be able to be inaugurated in January 20th? I think so, absolutely. But he has been actively divisive, and he's been lying about her, and he's been really stoking this anger, and it's in a really vicious way that lacks good faith at all, and that is just not something we've seen in politics.
But Julie, those who are following Trump's movement, they were lapping up whatever he said, so they're ready to listen to it. Are the GOP ready to listen to this and possibly learn from whoever wins that they need to make changes?
Exactly. I think this is the question. What are the GOP going to do after this election? Because Trump himself has said that he is a kind of conduit for this new movement. And in a sense, the Republicans have gotten themselves into this by on the one hand, disavowing a lot of what he said, but on the other hand, endorsing him. So they're in an invidious position, I think, but it remains to be seen how they can rebuild after this election.
Well, the nation certainly has never been more divided.
I agree. I couldn't agree more, and I agree with what Kate has said, that Trump often appears to be the person, the honest person, the brutally honest person who says what he means, as his daughter Ivanka said, and who says what everybody else is thinking. But I think that mistakes the calculation that's there. I think he's able to read the crowd, he's able to mirror them, reflect back what they want to hear, and I think he's done that very successfully, and I think that's what has gotten him so far.
Okay, well, they're still casting their votes. Hillary's been struggling really with the millennials. She might have the Hispanic vote, and that might swing it for her in Florida, but she really has lost the 18 to 29-year-olds. Why?
Oh, I don't accept the premise of that question. I mean, she certainly had a greater challenge with the millennials as opposed to Bernie Sanders, but certainly we see, Hillary's been very strong with women. She's been very strong in certain demographic groups like African Americans, Latinos, for example. And so I think to characterize the millennials in one worse for her than for Trump, absolutely.
And Julie, what about the wider impact then, the global impact of either president? What could you envisage for either of them?
Well, I think of the two of them, Trump is the one who would be likely to create an atmosphere of uncertainty globally. I think that's been reflected in the markets when last week Trump drew level with Clinton. You saw a bit of a wobble there. The stocks fell, the dollar fell, and they rallied again on the news that FBI Director James Comey was not going to pursue an investigation. So you can see just on the merest suggestion of the Trump presidency, there's global uncertainty. And this has to do, I think, with the fact that he has suggested more than any other presidential candidate that I can remember that everything's up for negotiation, even things that were previously non-negotiable to both Republicans and Democrats.
I suppose we could sit here all night talking about it. We'll know the result tomorrow. But just briefly, a question for both of you. What difference is it going to make if we do have the very first female president of the United States of America? Kate?
It will make a huge difference. We've had almost 240 years of men, of male presidents. Obama is the 44th president. This is about who leads our nation, our model. This is a model for our children, but it's also a way of showing that people can sort of expand to their greatest extent, and that includes women.
I completely agree. I think that if Hillary wins, she will be leader of the free world. She'll be leader of superpower. That's something that obviously we've never had. And I think we can't underestimate the significance, the symbolic significance of that.
Okay, well, we will know the next time we talk to each other, probably tomorrow. Kate Fitzpatrick and Julie Sheridan, thank you for that this evening.